Well, hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Wait, let's introduce this guy. This is Bill Morrison, Inkpot Award winner, Reuben Award winner, movie poster artiste, Simpsons, Futurama, Bongo Comics,
Keep going.
and
Keep going.
geez, man, is there a test on this? Because I'm already intimidated.
Hi, everyone.
Mad Magazine
Mad
editor in
Magazine.
chief. And just purveyor of great ray guns and bubble helmets and spaceships.
Batman memorabilia. Don't forget that.
So,
like that?
Yes.
Yeah, just like that.
Just
we're
like
gonna,
that.
We're going to say hi to the people in the chat real quick, and then we're going to jump into it with Bill.
Hi, chat people.
Green Hulkster, what's up, man? TM Nerdy, thanks for coming by. AR, you're always around, bro. Thank you. We got Trev, the shipping guru, or the fantasy football guru, however you want to call him. And, of course, Collecting with Durs. How you doing, man? And I think that is there you go. Hoarder's Hide is in the building. Look out.
And of course he said the Batman. He heard Batman, so he had to say the Batman movie sucks.
Yeah.
He is not this guy basically, Bill, he continually campaigns about how everything is better than the Batman.
Hey, Kenneth.
The latest one.
Oh, the latest. I was gonna say, can you clarify which one?
The one with Pattinson.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite Batman movie, Bill?
Yeah, I do. Batman Mask of the Phantasm is my favorite Batman feature film.
Okay. Wow, went animated on us.
And I actually saw it in a theater. I think it had a theatrical release for a week or so. And I actually saw it in the theater on the big screen and loved it.
Awesome.
Didn't see that one.
He said he didn't see that comment. But
do you want me to drive the comments?
I got the comments.
All right, you got the comments. It's your show.
Well, no, I'm just doing the comments right here because, you're going to be leading this interview.
Sounds good. So let's break into this. Bill, 40-year career, movie posters. For those who don't know, Bill and I have actually seen each other at the last 3 Planet Comic Cons, and the previous one, I actually helped out at the booth, and I have to say, a lot of people stop by and want to talk about your movie posters. What was the horror one you did?
One of them was House.
House.
That's the one I had the print. I had the print of that.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone remembers that, it's the decayed, rotting hand pushing a doorbell. And a lot of kids, from what I understand, were traumatized by that growing up. It was also on the video cassette box, so a lot of kids saw it, snuck it, from the video store when their parents weren't looking.
And got somebody that knows it.
K-pop Katie. She's a Detroiter. She was actually at Astronomicon.
Oh, hey K-pop.
So then which Disney posters did you work on?
First one I did 2 for Cinderella for the re-release in 86, I think. And then Disney really liked those, so they started. I worked for a studio in Glendale, California, named Willardson Associates, and the owner of the studio was one of my heroes, one of my illustration heroes growing up, and his name was Dave Willardson, and he was known for like a certain look, and I was brought into the studio and I kind of learned to do that look, and Disney really loved it. And so I became kind of the Disney guy in the studio, because we did all kinds of advertising. We did billboards and record album covers and magazine ads, all kinds of stuff. And some of the stuff we did was very photorealistic, but because I did these couple of Disney posters and Disney liked them and started giving us more work, I became the Disney guy. So I did the original Little Mermaid poster. I did Bambi, Peter Pan, Jungle Book, Fox and the Hound, Lady and the Tramp. I did the part of the original Land Before Time poster. I did all the characters. Somebody else did the background. Got a whole bunch of it.
As a kid.
Every time, basically back then, even though Disney had a video program, home video, they were also re-releasing at least 2 of their classic films back into theaters every year, plus 1 new film. So I would do like Oliver and Company as a new one, but then I would also do, a couple of classics every year. So, I kept that up for about 4 or 5 years. So I did a whole slew of them. And then The Simpsons came along and they stole me away.
And, from being at your booth, I got to say, most people that were talking about the movie posters talked about one specifically, the Little Mermaid poster. I've always thought it's so funny that how much of that is just urban legend, it seems,
Oh, yeah, totally. If for people who don't know, there wasn't really a controversy around the poster, but it was a year later when the video came out that a woman in Arizona, her husband actually brought it home from the video store, and he, while he popped it into the video player for the kids, he was looking at the cover and he kind of nudged his wife and he said, "Hey, honey, check this out. Look what some degenerate Disney artist did." And I guess the husband thought it was kind of funny, but the wife did not. And she went on a tirade, went back to the video store. Does everyone know what I'm talking about? The penis in the palace, as it's sometimes called?
Yeah, Katie, actually, K-pop, had earlier said she had talked to you at Astronomicon about it and called it the Golden Donger or something. I don't know. Anyway.
There's a lot of names for it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I in addition to doing the poster, I also did the video cassette box. And then it just became this big urban legend. The original story was that the artist was getting fired from Disney. So this was like his last defiant act before before leaving. And even that's not true because I didn't work for Disney. I've never worked for Disney. I've always been a freelancer or a contractor. So the studio that I worked for, Willardson, we were contractors for Disney. So there was no firing, no imminent firing or anything like that. But then the story just kept snowballing. And it was kind of like a game of telephone, where somebody, every time the story gets repeated to somebody, it gets more elaborate and changes. So it went from he was an artist who was getting fired to he was getting fired because he was gay to he was getting fired because he was gay and they found out he had AIDS. And
wow, I haven't even heard of some of these. That's crazy.
Yeah, it kept going like that. And the whole thing died down. The final version that I heard, and I would sometimes hear people talking about this. Like I'd go into a comic shop and just be like a fly on the wall, and I would hear these conversations going on. And the last, or people would repeat things back to me and say, "Hey, I heard these people talking and they said this." But the last version that I heard said that the artist was a Satan worshiper who was conducting satanic rituals in the Disney offices after work. And they caught him and fired him. And that was like the last defiant act because of course
why would they have let you finish your drawing if they caught you performing? All right, finish up your work and get out of here, Morrison.
Yeah, right.
Oh
Don't
my.
do anything evil while you're at it.
Oh man, you gotta love rumor, and that was like, I mean, predominantly pre. Well, it was way before social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was the
Crazy.
late 80s, like 1989.
Did it take a while for you to hear about it? Like, I would imagine you were.
No,
15.
I heard about it the day the story broke because I I was like a volunteer youth worker at my church. And so all the kids in my youth group, they knew that I did stuff for Disney. So they were always asking me, "Hey, what's the latest thing you're working on here? What are you doing?" And so they knew what I did for a living. And one day, the day this all happened, this kid from my youth group called me at work. He had my phone number, and he said, and he was very hesitant, very shy. He's like, "Hey, Bill, I heard, is it true that you did the Little Mermaid video?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "So you're the one that put the thing in there?" And I said, "What thing? What are you talking about?" And it took forever to like get him to tell me. And finally, he gave me very little information. So I had an advanced copy of the cassette, and I brought it to the phone, and I said, "All right, what am I looking at?" And he said, "Well, you see Ariel, like you see that tower in the castle that's right behind her head?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, what does it look like?" And then it just like hit me, and I just went, "Oh my God. I don't know. What do you think it looks like?" And he's going, "Oh my God, don't make me say it." And I said, "Where did you hear this? Like, did you just notice this?" And he said, "No, they're talking about it on the radio." So there was like
Oh
some local
boy.
talk radio show that was talking about it. And from that point on, it was on the news and it was in Playboy. And, for a while, I just heard about it all the time.
Yeah. But then after that, you moved on to Simpsons, and we have a Simpsons related question from the chat.
Okay.
Katie says, "You said Radioactive Man was your favorite character to draw. Any plans to do anything in the future with him?"
Well, unfortunately, not, because Bongo is no longer publishing. And Bongo's owned by Matt Groening, and Matt Groening owns all the publishing rights to The Simpsons. So unless he decides to start publishing again, there's no official way for me to write or draw Radioactive Man.
And now, speaking of The Simpsons, you told me something I thought was one of my favorite Simpsons facts uh, about Krusty, the original plans for Krusty the Clown.
Oh, you mean for the
Homer and
him being Homer? Yeah. Yeah. Matt told me once that originally the idea for Krusty was that Bart's a big fan of Krusty the Clown, but what he doesn't know is that his father is moonlighting to make extra money at night by being Krusty. So he actually is, you know, in secret, he is Krusty the Clown. Um, and I think they realized that Krusty was kind of too good a character to waste on one story. So they decided to eventually, a little later, they did the story where Homer goes to clown college and he becomes one of many Krusty impersonators. But yeah, the original idea was that he would be Krusty, and obviously you can't sustain that more than an episode or two. So they abandoned that idea.
Mm.
but it is
But,
funny
but
that
the whole idea behind Krusty and Radioactive Man is that those are both Bart's idols. Radioactive Man is his favorite superhero. Krusty is his favorite celebrity, and they're both kind of versions of Homer. Um, you know,
the head shape's
Radioactive.
the same.
Yeah, they yeah, obviously Radioactive Man's face looks a lot like Homer. And also he's radioactive. Homer works at a power plant, so he's like the real Radioactive Man because of all the nuclear exposure. So the idea was that the characters that Bart idolizes, he doesn't respect his father, but he idolizes these characters who really, in many ways, are his father.
So, how did you get involved with Bongo and Simpsons in general?
Well, when I first came to Hollywood, I worked for a company called BD Fox and Friends, and it was an advertising agency that specialized in movie advertising. So that was before I did the Disney posters. That was where I did House and many other um, very low budget movie posters. Um, so that was where I met Matt Groening. This was before The Simpsons, so he was not rich and famous, and he was making extra money by writing movie poster copy. So he would write the taglines that would appear on the posters. So I met Matt there, and he was brought in by one of our art directors, a woman named Millie Smythe. And so she was friends with Matt. She knew he was a funny writer, so she brought him in to write copy for the posters. So I met him. I met him then. Didn't know him well, but I knew him well enough to say hi. And then, number of years later, I got a call from Millie. We had both moved on to different jobs, and she said, "Hey, I don't know if you've seen this new show that Matt Groening has, but he's put me in charge of all the merchandise art. So I'm going to be art directing all of the art that appears on all the products. And we're really looking for, there's a ton of merchandise that's about to come out, but we don't have enough artists. So was wondering if you might want to do some freelance work on the side and draw The Simpsons." So I said, yeah. And I went over to her studio, and she showed me how to draw the characters, gave me my first couple of assignments, and Fox liked what I was doing. They liked how I handled the characters, and I guess I was fast as well. So I was, they had a couple of artists doing artwork already, but there was kind of a log jam. So I started doing more and more work. So for about 6 months, I did a ton of freelance. And then finally, one day, Millie was getting married, and I went to her wedding. And when I went through the reception line to say congratulations to her and her husband, she said, "Oh, Bill, Matt Groening's lawyer wants to talk to you." And she took me by the hand, and she dragged me over. Imagine this, she's in her wedding dress, and she's dragging me over to meet this lawyer. And so I started talking to Matt's lawyer, and she said, "What will it take for you to leave the job that you're in and come and work for Fox? Because they really like your work and they'd like to hire you full time." So at that point, I started doing, I was working in-house full time, not only doing Simpsons art, but also overseeing the other artists who were working on Simpsons art for merchandise. And then found out shortly after that Matt, because he retained all the publishing rights to The Simpsons, he had his own projects that he was generating for books and magazines and calendars. And so, in addition to my Fox work, I also started doing that on the side. So, one of the magazines that we did was a fan magazine called Simpsons Illustrated, and it had a comic section. And every issue of the comic section got bigger and bigger, until finally, after we had done it for about 2 years, we were getting ready to do an annual, like a special. And we decided to just make it all comics. And we even retitled it and published it comic book size instead of magazine size. And that was Simpsons Comics and Stories. And that sold so well that it gave Matt the confidence to start Bongo. So that's how that happened.
And I've seen those Simpsons magazines. I guess I did not realize it predated Bongo.
Yeah.
What was the first Bongo comics of Simpsons?
We came out with 4 issues in November of 1993, and they were Simpsons comics, Radioactive Man, Bart Man, and Itchy and Scratchy. And we had 2 out one week and then 2 out, I think 2 weeks later. I don't remember. I think probably Simpsons comics was the first one, along with maybe Bartman or maybe Itchy and Scratchy. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what came out first of the other 3, but definitely, I would consider Simpsons comics #1 the first Bongo comic.
And then, Hoarder's Hide asks, wasn't there a Simpsons Avengers book?
Yes, not officially Simpsons, but I did an issue of Marvel Double Shot. And the way that came about was I got a call from the editor one day, and he said, we're doing this book called Marvel Double Shot, and it's basically 2 11-page stories in every issue. And it's mainly by people who don't normally do superhero books or don't normally work for Marvel. And they were asking me if I wanted to do one. And I was all excited. And I said, yeah, I'd love to. And then it occurred to me they might be wanting me to do this Simpsons style. And I didn't know if I could do that. So I asked, I said, are you talking about like my style or Simpson style? And they said, oh, we definitely want it Simpson style. And I said, well, I think I'm going to have to pass because I don't think Fox would be cool with that. And I don't know if Matt Groening would like it. It just sounds like the addict. So I better say no. So probably not more than 2 weeks later, Matt came into my office, and Peter Bagg, I don't know if people know who he is. He did a comic book called Hate, and some other like more mainstream stuff for DC. Anyway, Peter Bagg was asked to do a Spider-Man one-shot, all in his style, and it's very underground cartoon kind of style. And Matt's a fan of his. I'm a fan of his. So Matt came in and said, "Hey, have you seen this Peter Bagg Spider-Man comic?" And I said, "Oh, I heard about it, but I haven't seen it." So he brought up the website where you could look at it, and so we're both just kind of marveling at how cool it was. And Matt said to me, "We should call Marvel and tell them we want to do a Marvel comic in the Simpsons style." And I just started laughing, and he goes, "What? What's funny?" And I said, "Well, actually, 2 weeks ago, this editor asked me if I wanted to do exactly that." And he goes, "Really? Cool." And I said, "Well, I turned him down." "Why'd you turn him down? Why?" And I said, "Well, I didn't know if you would be okay with it, and I thought it might get you into trouble with Fox, and it just sounded like a problem." And he goes, "No, call him back, do it." He said, "This is, if you ever get asked to do something cool, as long as it doesn't interfere with your job at Bongo, feel free to do it." So I called him back and said, "Yeah, I'll be happy to do it." And the only restriction they put on me is they said, "You can pick any Marvel characters, just not Spider-Man or the X-Men," because at that point there were like a dozen
French.
Spider-Man books and X-Men books, and they just felt it was too saturated. So I started thinking, well, I could probably do Captain America. That'd be fun, but Thor would be fun too, or maybe Iron Man. And And then it like dawned on me, well, I could just do an Avengers story, and then I could do all those characters. So that's what I did. So it is an Avengers story in Simpsons style, but it's not a Simpsons book.
So TM Nerdy asks, "Who is your favorite character to draw?" And I will say, I don't know if he meant Simpsons or not, but just anything. I know you do a great Dick Sprang style Batman.
Oh
As
yeah,
we will
I
talk
love
about.
doing that. Well, like I said before, Radioactive Man's my favorite Simpsons
Mhm.
character to draw. And I think that's because I was, as a kid, I wanted to be a superhero artist, and I ended up going into humor. Um, so, I very rarely get to actually draw superheroes, but Radioactive Man was like that perfect storm of, really funny satire, and you got to poke fun at the comic book industry, and do superheroes. So if that's what you meant, Radioactive Man. Um, if you meant broader, Batman, definitely Batman, and I love doing that 1950s Dick Sprang style.
And you are a Batman collector, and not just comic books, all sorts of
Yeah,
Batman
Yeah.
memorabilia.
I have a lot of Batman memorabilia. I have a Facebook page called the Batman Museum, and it's basically just my collection. So I take photos of items in my collection, and I make comments about them, give a little historical background. But it's artwork, it's posters, it's toys, merchandise, everything.
And your
Um,
oldest comic, is it still Batman issue 6?
Number 6 is my
Yeah,
oldest Batman comic. Yeah.
that's so cool. We do have another question, although this one I imagine was sarcasm. If Mike Becker, me, was a cartoon, who would he be?
Ah,
I don't know who I would be.
I don't know. Gosh, I haven't thought of that. That's something you guys spend time thinking about.
Right, that's a real brain
I
teaser.
I think if I was still doing Bongo Comics, I might write a story where Becker is a comic art collector who is friends and rivals with comic book guy.
Ooh, Jeff
So
Albertson, a worthy adversary.
yeah, so maybe there's a story where he gets some kind of holy grail of comic art, and you try to swindle him out of it, or vice versa.
Now everybody, that got the chat going.
Uh-oh. Mark, of course, it is always
Thanks, Mark.
That's always Mark.
So your time at Bongo, during that, I remember you telling me one day they asked you to come over to where they were working on Futurama.
Yeah, Matt asked me. He had a studio that was about 2 blocks from Bongo, where he just worked on his own stuff. It's kind of like a place to get away. And he said, "I'm working on a new show idea, and I need some help, kind of visualizing it." So he asked me to come over after work, a couple nights, and he would give me, like a couple of sentences about a character, and I would, draw what I thought that looked like. And it was like he might say, "So I have this character Leela, and she's a Cyclops, and she knows martial arts, and she's an alien." And at the time, she was an alien. They hadn't come up with the idea that she's a mutant. So I would just start drawing, kind of sexy cyclopean martial artists, of any variety that I could think of, and then I would show those to Matt, and he would mostly say, "No, that's not right. Um, I don't like that. This is kind of cool. I like the hair on this one, or I like the whatever, the costume." And then he would do a drawing and then throw that back to me, and then I would kind of refine that and throw it back to him. So it was like a lot of back and forth. He had me working on designs for ray guns and spaceships and all kinds of things. And this was just to get it ready, like get the idea ready to pitch it as a show. So what we would call development art.
And wasn't it Zach Brannigan? You had when you did the original design for him, right?
Not totally. I did some early designs, kind of based on William Shatner,
Mm-hmm.
and I was looking at one of the costumes from one of the films. Can't remember which film it was, but he wears kind of like a belted tunic and then has kind of tightish pants tucked into boots. And so I designed a costume based on that, although I just gave Brannigan tights. But I didn't draw it in color. It was just drawn in black and white. But my intention was that he would have tights the same color as his tunic. And then once we refined the character down, Matt liked the costume. We refined it down to the final design. And when it went to color, it came back and I saw it for the first time and he's got no pants on. And I didn't, I think what happened was like either Matt or David Cohen or, one of the writers looked at it and just thought, hey, it looks like he's not wearing pants, like he's wearing a short skirt. Wouldn't it be funny if he's, got this short little outfit with no pants on? So that's how they colored it. And, it launched 1,000 jokes.
I don't know if we have people being internet sleuths now, but Hoarder's Hide says, being an Eagle Scout, did you stay active on a troop or council level at all? I didn't know. Are you an Eagle Scout, Bill?
I am. I'm an Eagle Scout. And
I am also. That's crazy. So we've got 2 Eagle Scouts on this.
Wow.
On this here show. Unless, Alan, did you make it 3?
No.
I know you're a Marine, but nope. Did you ascend Eagle Stick Scouts?
Nope.
He is a Viking, though.
He is a Viking. Alan is a Viking.
Try.
So to answer the question, I didn't stay active in like a real official way. I made it through the Order of the Arrow initiation.
Same.
But my dad was my scoutmaster and he remained in scouting for years. So through him, I was always getting roped into helping out with something in scouts. And actually to this day, my dad's passed away. He died back in 2001. So he's been gone for a long time. But because of my dad, I still get asked to do all kinds of things. And in 2010, I did a piece of artwork that was turned into a print. It was commemorating the centennial of scouting in America, 100 years. And that's what centennial means for...
I'm going to have to write it down.
And they, this group, this kind of grassroots group here in Michigan, organized the whole thing, got me to do this painting, had the prints made, and they got an RV and a chase car donated. Penske donated like all the gas and maintenance for a whole year of trips around the country, the whole contiguous United States, from council to council to council, where they delivered a signed copy of one of the prints. And they did this for a whole year. They had teams who would fly in to, whatever city, take over from the previous team. They'd be on the road for a week or 2 weeks, and then another team would fly into whatever city that was, they ended up in. And they did that for a whole year and ended up delivering a print to every council in the contiguous U.S.
Wow.
Yeah, it was kind of legendary. It was just this amazing grassroots thing.
Did you ever go to anywhere like Philmont or anywhere like that then?
I never did. I was
I went to Philmont.
I think I was more, even though I grew up in the suburbs, I was more of an urban scout. I didn't. I don't know. Camping was a thing that I enjoyed if it was kind of close to a 7-Eleven.
Oh boy.
You know?
Yeah. Well, our troop did 2 trips while I was on my way, making my way to Eagle. We went to Philmont the one year. I made a belt there that I think I still own somewhere, and then we did Boundary Waters.
Well, I'll tell
Those
you about.
were
We had summer camp every year at D-Bar A Scout Camp in Michigan, and so one year I was trying to get like as many merit badges during the week as I could get, and one of the merit badges I was going after was leather work. Leather, it's hard to say. And I didn't realize, like, I thought it was just going to be, like making belts and making coin purses and stuff like that. And it was, but it was also knowledge about leather. So at the end, we had to. It was me and a couple of other guys, and we had to go and meet with these counselors who quizzed us. They gave us like an oral quiz on leather, and I had not studied for this at all. And so they start firing these questions, and most of the questions I'm able to answer. They're pretty easy. And then they said, name 3 types of leather. And I said, okay, cowhide. And they said, okay, good. Um, rawhide. And they said, well, that's kind of the same thing. But we'll give it to you. And I said, okay, that's 2. I got one more.
Corinthian.
Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde.
And these 2 guys fell off their stools laughing. And when they recovered, one of them said, obviously that's wrong, but we're going to give it to you for making us laugh. And that's when I realized I was going to get into humor.
That's what launched the career.
Yeah.
Eagle Scouts or Boy Scouts.
If I could get a merit badge from making somebody laugh,
Yeah.
That would have been a merit badge I could have
got. That sent a message to my little 13-year-old brain.
So getting back, Futurama, how did you end up at Mad Magazine?
I was working on Disenchantment for Matt Groening, and when he sold the show to Netflix, we were like already working on it, but it hadn't really found a home yet. So when Netflix came on board, I was told that they were suddenly taking over my payment. So Matt wasn't going to be paying me anymore. It was going to be Netflix. And then I shortly thereafter found out that they were going to be paying me a lot less than Matt had been paying. So I needed to make extra money. And I contacted a couple of publishers just to see if I could pick up freelance work. One of them being DC. And I talked to Dan DiDio at DC. Just sent him an email and I said, hey, just wanted to let you know, my situation with Disenchantment and Matt Groening's changed a little bit, and I'm going to be able to take on freelance work. So if you've got anything you could use me for, let me know. And then I added, by the way, if you have anything more permanent, I'd be interested in hearing it. And so I was kind of thinking, maybe I'm not going to be involved with Disenchantment much longer. Maybe I should look for something more permanent so I don't have to do work on the side. And he responded and said, let's have lunch. And during lunch, he told me that, after DC had moved to Burbank and the Mad Crew decided to stay in New York, they had been told if you don't want to move to California, we're going to have to find somebody in California to take over. And it took him about 2 years. But when Dan said that when he heard that I was available, he realized I would be a likely candidate to take over as editor-in-chief of Mad. So that's how that happened.
So editor-in-chief of Mad, not a connection I would have made about it running through DC, but essentially then you were an executive with DC, right?
Right.
And then I think you told me I think the first time we went to dinner, you had mentioned that you got access to like DC, like a bunch of DC comps.
Yeah, my title was executive editor of Mad, and at that level, you're a vice president. So anybody who's at that level, vice president or higher, gets comps for everything DC puts out. So on a weekly basis, a PA would come around with a cart just loaded with, there'd be a stack of comics, all the latest comics, any books they were putting out.
Oh wow!
It wasn't merchandise, although sometimes you'd get freebies, occasional merchandise freebies. But it was like all the omnibus books, all the graphic novels, all the hardcovers, everything.
That would be awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, that was nice.
Definitely a perk.
And I didn't have room to keep all of it, so I belong to a group called CAPS in California, which stands for Cartoon or Comic Art Professional Society, which Sergio Aragonis and Mark Evanier started back in the late 70s. And I used to bring like boxes of books and comics into meetings, and I would, just put them out, and I'd say, hey, anybody who wants some free comics and books, help yourselves. I kept the good stuff, but I couldn't keep everything.
Kept the good stuff.
So I know I glossed over a lot, but we're already at 42 minutes, and I don't know what your schedule is here. I had told you I thought it was going to be about 30-ish, so we've already gone over that. What are you working on now that you'd like to talk about? Upcoming tour?
Yeah, I noticed somebody had a question about Free Comic Book Day.
Yes.
So I'm doing a Free Comic Book Day at Green Brain Comics in Dearborn, Michigan. So if anybody's in Michigan, Southeast Michigan area, if you haven't been to Green Brain, it's literally one of the best comic shops on the planet. It's really, really good.
Is that your LCS then, or is that not? I don't know if it's close to you or not.
It's not that close to me, so I go there whenever I'm in the area. But there's one a lot closer that I kind of visit more often than Green Brain. Not as good, but decent. So I'm doing that. I'm doing Heroes Con. I'm doing like 3 conventions in Michigan coming up before for a couple in California. So the ones in Michigan are Downriver Comic Con, which is a small show, but it takes place at my old high school in the gymnasium. So this is a comic convention like where I used to be tortured by my gym teacher.
And we were talking before the show that if anybody can climb the gym rope, they win a comic book.
Yes, I'll give a free comic to anybody who can climb to the top of the rope. So anyway, that's a really cool one. I look forward to that just because it's like homecoming, for comic nerds.
Yes, Mark, we will all be there.
Yes, we will all be at Heroes.
Oh,
and actually,
looking forward.
We were telling Bill before this that's going to be the YouTube Hangout this year. Is Heroes
It's
Con.
going to be massive,
and we're gonna try to come up with something fun to do with Bill for that. So
yeah,
so stay tuned.
Yeah. So the other 2 Michigan shows are Astronomicon in Livonia, which we had in the early part of the year, and it didn't get snowed out, but it prevented Kevin Smith and Jason Lee from attending. And a lot of people had bought packages to get autographs and photo ops and all that. So I think the reason they're doing kind of a part 2 is so that they can honor all of those packages that they sold. So I'm doing that again. And I'm doing Capital City Comic-Con, which is in Lansing, Michigan. So I got those coming up. I got Stockton Con in Northern California, and then the big one, Comic-Con San Diego.
And you did the program for that last year, right?
I did, yeah. I did a Rocketeer image for that, which was really exciting because, number one, I'm a big Rocketeer fan, but I was also friends with Dave Stevens. And, just to get to honor his creation, it was the 40th anniversary of the original comic appearing. So that was very special.
And then you also have a project coming up.
Oh yeah, I did a comic strip for a new comic newspaper that's called A Kid and a Comic. And if people want to check it out, you can go to, I'm trying to find their website. Give me a sec here. Nope, that's not it. I'll find it. Anyway, it's an anthology newspaper that has a lot of different creators in it. Me being one. And I came up with a new original strip that's related to my Roswell comic book. So it's a character within that universe, a fictional character within that universe. So the character is Victor Victorious. He's kind of a patriotic 40s era superhero. And he's Jasper Kudzu's favorite comic book character. So Victor Victorious, the first issue has the origin, and then there's going to be 7 issues. So there'll be like short little chapter installments. It'll also be online, so you can check it out that way. But
and where would people find that at?
It's going to be distributed through comic shops.
Okay.
So yeah.
So getting back to when you hit the road, when you hit cons. Something I wanted to highlight is one, I know you've been doing a lot of these paint pens on pops. This is something that you could get from Bill. I got one for myself at Planet Comic-Con, Dick Sprang style Batman. But then also, can you make me big, Alan?
Yes, I can.
I want to talk about the remark of authenticity.
Amazing.
Which is such a great idea.
I thought so too,
Bill. This is
really
cool.
That was Ken Carson's idea. Ken's my art rep.
Yep, Ken is your rep.
He has a lot of good ideas.
So
he has some bad ones too, but like our policy is like, we don't, we just kind of any idea is up for a debate. And then we kind of weed out the bad ones and go with the good ones.
So what this is, and this comic will be getting given away. This is Simpsons Comics issue 10. So it says Bill Morrison at the bottom there. And then how would you know that this is an authentic Bill Morrison? Well, on the back, there's an original remark of Zombie Bart. And it's a remark of authenticity. And that this came from your personal collection.
Right.
And we actually have 2 books to give away. So, Bill, I don't know if you know how the StreamYard giveaway tool works, but I'm going to have you pick any word. Don't make it too long. And we'll hashtag it, and they'll put it in the chat, and then the comment picker. But this one is got the Homer. And this is Bartman issue number 6, and I love this cover.
Thank you. That's probably one of my favorite comics for doing remarks on, because I left like a huge space where the moon is. So it's actually perfect for doing a remark on the book.
And if the remark of authenticity wasn't enough, can you verify that this is a Bill Morrison signature?
Yep.
And actually, what qualifies you to
Oh
say
my
that's
God.
a Bill? How much
we
experience
watched
do you
him.
have with Bill Morrison?
We watched him live on Whatnot. We were watching the same stream, brother. We were watching him live write his signature on the book. Stop.
Well, I can still ask him what his credentials are.
Well, CGC lets me sign books and send them in. So if CGC trusts me, then I guess everyone else should.
There you go, folks. So,
hey,
yeah,
just
let's.
Before you do that, I found the website. It's akidandacomic.com. And not to name drop, but some of the other creators involved are Scott Hanna, Mike Gustovich, Tony Harris.
Oh, wow.
B. Clay Moore. I'm trying to find like some of the more well-known names. J.M. DeSantis. Oh no, that's.
Thank you, Alan. Alan
People,
put the link in the
I guess
chat.
people know him because of the governor. Riley Brown, Bob Allman, Darren Ock. So a lot of really talented creators. So this isn't just kind of a throwaway sort of thing. There's some like really talented people involved in this. So check it out, akidandacomic.com.
Kidandacomic.com, and Alan has put that in the chat. And can you put it in the video too, the description or whatever, or can you not edit that anymore?
Yeah, I can.
You're the man, Alan. So we have 2 comics to give away. Pick a word, Bill.
Okay, Roadmaster.
Hashtag Roadmaster. And you can catch Bill on the road at all those spots that he mentioned earlier, including Heroes Con. I don't know why you wouldn't go to Heroes Con. Everybody who's anybody will be at Heroes Con.
You and really should be.
I love Heroes Con. I had the best time last year.
Hashtag Roadmaster.
And this is just for one of the books, right?
We're going to do it twice. We're going to run it twice. And just so you know, this is not going to go out for a week because I already have a huge lot of stuff to take to the post office tomorrow. Next week, these will go out. I think I'm going to do my shipping on Mondays. Unless your name is Dr. Von Hoot or John Mallow, we probably won't do international. US only. Let's have mercy on my budget here. But yeah, let's give away. We'll do Simpsons number 10 first, Alan, and we'll let people. And the reason why I say Dr. Von Hoot and John Mallow is because they're both big supporters of the channel, and I know
the channel.
And if I do recognize your name, if I know you, obviously I'll work with you on it.
We are gonna hit the drawing, except for that TM nerdy guy. I don't know about him.
Oh yeah, I'd add him in too. So this is for Simpsons number 10.
Oh, that's cool.
And that is going to
ML Comics Closet. Got it.
MI? Is it MI Comics Closet?
Yeah.
Oh, Spidey, I'd send it to you too. And Legion will cover shipping for any Legion members.
Does MI stand for Michigan?
Are you in Michigan Comics Closet? Bill is pro Michigan.
Yeah, where you at, man?
I guess I should say MI Comics Closet. Please reach out to me at Becker Likes Comics on Instagram. If you do not have Instagram, you can hit us up in the description.
Well, the link to your IG and mine.
Oh, perfect.
So, all right. So we are going to. Yes, he's in Michigan. So that's.
It went to a local.
There you go. And we are going to draw again.
And this one will be for the Bartman number 6. And this does come with the Homer ROA. Collecting with Durs.
There you go.
Oh
Congratulations,
man, I just packed something up and sent it. Of course. For him. Dang it.
It always happens that way.
Shazbot. Well, Bill, we're wrapping up here. We've given some stuff away. We've hyped up Heroes Con, I think, enough. And is there anything else that you want to promote or talk about?
No, just I look forward to seeing everyone at Heroes. This sounds like a lot of fun. The meetup that you're going to have. So look forward to meeting everyone. Thanks for having me on. This has been great. I'd love to come on again.
Thank you so much, Bill, and we'd love to have you back. And we'll look forward to maybe doing something together at Heroes.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, everyone. And thanks everybody in the chat for being so active.
And we'll see y'all later.
Bye, everyone.